Yes guys, welcome to my channel. It's Kev Stoic, hope you're well. This is a very short video on my drive home and it's about the Manosphere and content creators within the Manosphere. So I've been supporting the community or watching videos for about a year now, and I think it serves a great purpose. I think that there's a lot of ideas that are transferable for men, no matter which town, which city, which country you live in. There's some useful advice to help men navigate finances, sort of dating dynamics, and just life goals and purposes, if you like. But if there's one thing I've noticed about the Manosphere, it's about the critics within the space. What they tend to do is, rather than actually criticising or debunking ideas or opinions, or in most cases facts, what they'll do is they'll criticise the actual person behind the content. They'll criticise your character. They'll say X, Y, and Z about you, but they won't actually respond to whether the message is true or not, or whether the message is fair or not. And that's something that I have an issue with. I think that most people, when you're consuming content, you have to, as a responsible adult, you have to be able to decipher and distinguish the message from the messenger. You have to be able to separate the two, and it's very important you do that, not just as a critic but also as a supporter, because what you'd have is you'd have things on both ends. So you'd have critics who blindly criticize without actually listening to the content, listening to the message, because they don't like you as a character. They'll just disagree with you. Or you'd have supporters who, on the other end, will basically be fanboys. So no matter what you do, no matter what you do wrong, perhaps, they can't be objective in their assessment of what you're saying or what you're doing. And that's very, very dangerous. When I was growing up, my parents always said something to me. It's an old proverb, an old adage, and it goes, take the meat and spit the bones. So eat the meat and spit the bones. And what that means is basically, in anything you consume, you want to take what's useful, take what applies, take what's necessary, take what's good, and the things that don't, you can put that aside. And I think that's a very important skill. It's important to be able to listen to content, consume content, and say, yes, this makes sense, this is applicable, this is rational, objective, fair, this is correct, despite of what you as a creator might be like, whether you're congruent to your message or not. What you're saying is correct and is factual, and therefore the message I can accept. And that's something that as a supporter, as a fan of these channels, if you're watching this content, you have to be able to separate the message from the messenger. When I first started watching Kevin Samuels, for instance, a year ago, a lot of the critics would often say, oh, he's gay, look at the way he dresses, he doesn't even like women, why should he be giving advice about men and women dating dynamics? And my response would always be, well, firstly, I don't think he's gay, I think he just dresses really well. But secondly, whether he's gay or not, that isn't really relevant to the message that he's saying. Is what he's saying factual? Is what he's saying true? And for the most part, in the 10-minute clips that I watch or the 2-hour live streams that I've seen of him, the message that he's putting out is usually correct, is usually objective, is usually true. And therefore you have to be able to acknowledge the message. And if you don't like the messenger, fine, disregard him as a person or her as a person, but accept whether the message is fair, is true, is accurate or not. Another example in recent weeks is around the Fresh and Fit gang. Fresh Prince CEO has been under a lot of flack recently because from what it looks like, he's been falling for or dating a girl who's shown a lot of red flags in some of her social media videos around basically being a sugar baby or being, not basically being a girl that you don't take seriously in terms of dating. And it looked as if Fresh was going down that path in the sense of he was looking like he was taking her seriously or putting her on some sort of pedestal above other girls, basically, in the space of a month, which is obviously not a very long time to vet someone. And so in that regard, a lot of his critics will say, well, you're saying X, Y, and Z on your podcast, you're saying don't be finessed by women, don't lead with your wallet, but then it looks as if you're doing the complete opposite. And in fairness, when I look at both sides, he does come across contradictory in some cases. But does that matter to me? No, because the message that's being delivered on their podcast for the most part is true, is factual, is correct. And that's all I'm concerned with. You can't be a blind fanboy of anyone. You can't just support the messenger and disregard the message. And that's very dangerous, because one day what might happen is that if he does something that you don't agree with, and therefore you sort of fall out of admiration for this particular YouTuber, for him as a person, you might then turn around and disregard all of the message that he was spewing, which might have been useful, which might have been actual good content, true content, which could be beneficial for you to know. And on the flip side, if you've got a YouTube creator that you're following blindly, and he starts giving you messages that isn't correct, but that you just follow him blindly because you just follow him blindly, then you can be led astray. So it's important to be able to separate the message from the messenger, and that's a life skill. It's not just a case of doing it in in terms of YouTube content. You do it in life. You do it in your workplace. You do it with your friends circle. You do it with people that you chill with. You have to be able to take what's good, what's necessary, what's useful, and disregard the other stuff as irrelevant or not useful for you. Don't conflate the two. It's really important. And so that's just my 2 pence. Eat the meat, spit the bones. Eat the meat, spit the bones. Eat the meat, spit the bones. It's basic math, if you like. And I don't think anyone should idolize any YouTuber, in my opinion. I think anyone who puts out content online, their characters at the end of the day, myself included. And what I mean by that is that yes, you should support them as a person, of course, but don't idolize them in a sense that you can't critique them if you can't be objective in terms of when they put something out that you might not agree with or that might not be correct. You're not able to be objective in terms of giving an assessment of that because you're so fascinated by this person as a character. You're so intertwined with him or her as a character that you can't separate that from the message, which you're going to need to at some point, whether you're assessing it for good or bad. So that's just my 2 pence. But leave your comments below. Leave your thoughts as to what you think about that. Is it important to be able to separate the message from the messenger? Is that something that you can do? If a messenger is in his personal life someone that you might not agree with, or you find out perhaps that he or she is doing something that's not congruent to the message, does that for you invalidate everything that they've been saying? Do you then disregard all of the previous content or messages that they've been putting out? Do you then think that he's a complete fraud or she's a complete fraud? Let me know your thoughts. Drop it in the comment box. I'm really interested to see what you guys think. I like to learn from from not just content creators, but also from just people in the space. People that comment, that like, that subscribe to videos, people that are just the audiences. I think that you can learn from everyone. So drop your comments below. If you like the video, please like the video, share the video, all of that. It's Kev Stoic. Be still, be stoic. Remember the motto. But yeah, take care. I'm out. Peace.